How's it going, everybody? So, gonna be a little bit different today. Kind of more of a off-the-cuff just discussion of Nats in general and kind of my thoughts. This is probably gonna be the last video that goes up on the channel before I actually fly out to LA. So, I wanted to kind of go through over the Nationals format for people that maybe not be super familiar with it. Kind of talk through a little bit about what it means, what to expect, what to watch, and then afterwards I'll give a short personal overview. I can't go into too many specifics on stuff like what decks I'm going to bring, just in case. I don't really want to like show up to the event and have people know the exact two decks I'm playing, so that they're like, "Oh, Ghoul's on this and this. I can do this, and Ghoul's going to lose to me every time he plays me." It sucks as someone that's trying to create like content, but I don't want to lie to y'all and say I'm doing one thing and then come out doing another. Like that's not fair to you, my audience. It's not fair to my competitors. Um, So I'm gonna have to go slightly vague on the actual decks that I'm playing and some of my preparation for it. But I'm not gonna be able to talk about like who the names of my talking partners and playtest partners and theory crafting partners are. But so the North American Championship is this weekend, September 9th and 10th. It should be streamed live on Twitch, I imagine, or YouTube. Keep an eye on like Square Enix's YouTube, I believe. If you're in any Final Fantasy Discords, I'm sure it'll be posted a gazillion times. I know Lisa in the DFW Discord will be doing it, and then she will be spamming the chat, and I'll keep my updates in there, and maybe on a thread as well. Um, so the event is two deck format. I'll get into what two deck is later, but people that won Materia Cups get a day one skip to go straight to day two, and the 64 other qualified players from Store Championships, Materia Cups, everyone else is going to be in 6 best of 3 rounds with the top 10 players moving on to day 2. You need to win with both of your decks to win. So it's a 2 out of 3, but if you win, you must swap to your other deck. The losing player has the ability to swap decks, but they do have to win with both of their decks in order to move on. So those are 70-minute rounds, which is admittedly, for me, the scariest part of this is that we're used to best of 130, and going to best of 370 is a massive difference. Final Fantasy does not have, if you're used to Yu-Gi-Oh, there's what's called a scoop culture, which is I'm behind, I cannot win, I know that I need time to win this game 3, so I'm going to scoop even though there is a chance I can win this game, but I have to save time. Final Fantasy does not play 2-deck often enough for players to be used to that. So I think we're going to have a lot of games go to time in game 3, which is very scary, especially depending on what decks people play. And I think a lot of people will be picking decks with that in mind. I expect to see a lot of extra aggro decks and things that people can play in addition to, if you play like a super glacial slow control deck, you can play that next to something like a 13 or a 6, a deck that plays very quickly and off the cuff, and use that to win, and kind of preserve your time. But even there, you can go on your slow deck 2 games and very easily hit that time limit, which is it's scary. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so that's going to be a best of 6 Swiss rounds, cutting to the 10 best players to join the 6 players that gain the day 1 skip. If you're curious, if you're going to the event and you want to know what your record has to be, the magic number is X1. X1 guarantees it, and this is kind of painful, I'm not going to lie, but the X2s are going to be 3 out of 15. You have to be absolutely balling on your tiebreakers. I'm just curious, if they put it on 7 rounds of Swiss, I wish we would do this instead. To me, bubbling is the worst feeling, and having that large of a bubble is obnoxious. I would rather have the extra round of Swiss to guarantee that, but time constraints are a thing, and we will have an undefeated at the end of 6 rounds. But I'm not a fan of that personally. I think that like if you have a topping record, you deserve to be not a 1 in 5 chance based on who your opponents happen to be early on. That seems a little crappy to me. But especially when, like I said, just one more round of Swiss gets it to where the people with topping records, over half of them make it, as opposed to a fifth, 20%. Like, ugh. Again, that's not something I have control over or anything like that, but it is like unfortunate. Like in theory, I bet if I put in 8, it's even better, right? If I go 8 rounds of Swiss, why don't we just play a gazillion? I guess in this case, one random person would get it. But like, It's it is what it is. There's not a better way to put it. If you go X1, you're guaranteed. If you go X2 and you have good breakers, you have a chance. Day two is double elimination. Probably the biggest advantage is if you are your first place after Swiss in this, you kind of have a slight advantage outside of the fact that you're going to be tired compared to the players with the day one skip that get to just kind of turn their deck lists in on the start of day one and then go, grab a bite to eat, relax, do whatever. Uh, Winners bracket is best of three, and losers bracket is best of one. Single deck format, which is you got 30 minutes, play your best deck. Um, Notably, you can switch, which is interesting. I wonder if day two probably has to be open deck because there's going to be a stream for day one, I imagine. So I wonder how that's going to actually work out. Um, and then the winners of each bracket play in the finals. So on and so forth. This also gets us a guaranteed top four. Top four qualify for the the world championships, and that'll include a trip to Japan for it. The pricing for the event is actually really good. Let me do this in another window. But let me pull up the pricing real quick. And see. North American Championship. I'm hoping this doesn't have any personal info. I can do this for it. Or I'll just say it. There's a screenshot on the Facebook group if you need it. But entry, you get a tote bag. You get all the promos from the events again. 6 booster packs, a special card sleeve, and a playmat with the lock and sell as art from the new set. It's a really nice looking playmat. Super excited for that. Top 32 get another copy of the Cloud. And top 16 get probably my favorite. I'm like almost as much as making Top Cut. I want this promo. This promo is completely adorable. Like, oh my goodness. But there's only going to be 16 of these given out in NA. I imagine 16 in EU, maybe something like an 8 in Australia, and probably another 16 in Japan. So they're going to be very, very rare, at least in the rarity like this. I imagine we'll get these as like a promo in a side set or something. 5th through 8th get a non-foil set of Opus 20, which is, nice. It's better to have it than not, but it doesn't really change too much. Top 4, you get the championship invite. You get you get a jacket. You get a foil card set of Opus 20, which should actually include the Estinian. You get the anniversary set for 2022, which was nice, but nicer to give it out than to not. And you get you get a backpack. 3rd and 4th, you get a semifinalist trophy. Top 2 get a normal card set of the next upcoming set and a full art Yuffie, which is fantastic. Again, the pricing in this gets very good. And then the champion gets a foil set of the next set. And they get a full art Cloud. So some really cool pricing. Lots of fantastic players will be in attendance. There should be some amazing Final Fantasy. And I'll be honest, the game is still just an incredibly well-made game. And it's so much fun to play. And I'm really excited to see some high-level Final Fantasy during that weekend. As far as the actual tier list, so because it's the 2-deck format, this is my old tier list. And there are some decks that get massive boosts in this format. So Rydia is a very good deck, but Rydia burns all of the best cards in water. It burns all the best cards in earth. It burns the best fire summon. Like, you're really taxing the rest of the remaining card pool if you're playing Rydia. I think you have a similar issue with, like, Realm monsters. And even a little bit with, like, Chaos Arc. I think there's a big benefit to playing a deck like 6, because 6 does not have any overlap with any other deck. If you're playing a 6 deck, you're probably, like, not worried about that overlap. Mono decks get a big boost because as long as your other deck doesn't need that mono element, you can do everything in that element as strong as possible. So mono water, the mono lightning stuff that we were seeing, even stuff like mono wind is not like a horrible choice for the event. Ice Lightning, I think also, like outside of the fact that like Ice Lightning and Fire Lightning 13 have a lot of conflict. Actually, do they have a lot of conflict? They don't really, do they? No, you could run both of those. Like you could run both of those even, because the Fire Lightning 13 doesn't need any of the Ice Lightning forwards, and the backups in Ice Lightning are very defined, and they're not what Fire Lightning 13 is running. So you could actually run both of those if you want to just go super ham and be done with your games in about 15 minutes. Um, and it kind of goes from there. You know, a deck like Soiree with Wall, again, you're burning a lot of different colors and a lot of different cards, which means you have to pair it with something like an Ice Lightning or like a Mono Lightning. A lot of cast decks are all going to be conflicting with any of the win good stuff cards, you know, because they're pulling some of that. A deck like Cloud Pod or Megissa burns all of, you know, specific cards and a bunch of elements. So it'll be really interesting to see what ends up coming out of this. I am really torn on what decks I'm going to play. I'm going to be totally honest. And that's not me like, you know, trying to, oh, I might do this, I might do that. No, like I legitimately have 3 decks in a thing, and I'm pretty locked on one of them, and the other two, I am like, they both seem really good and really bad at the same time, and I have no idea which ones I want to play. So, um, should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I know a lot of people don't like, and admittedly, it is a weird decision that we're playing a different format at our biggest tourney of the year versus what we played everywhere else. I there's just not another way to handle that. I do like what 2 deck does to the format in some ways. It's kind of like there's a big talk in like League of Legends where it's like people that like League of Legends really like the idea of a banning system, right? Where it's like, well, this champion's overpowered and you're really good on it, so I'm going to take that champion away from you. But the fighting game player in me says, well, just let the best characters rock. Like if everybody has access to all the best cards, then nothing should be better than anything else, right? You should be able to play what you're best with and really put your best foot forward. But there's a lot of versatility that's shown as well in 2 deck, where it's like, I can't just be like the best Fire Lightning 13 or the best Rydia pilot. I have to have a second deck that I am good enough to win with consistently to do well with. And that's really cool, actually, because and I think Final Fantasy is like one of the only games that I'm okay with this format because of the way product is structured. I think the way product is structured in Final Fantasy, even if a lot of times the financial value isn't necessarily there when you open a pack, I always feel there's a good chance that probably 1 to 2 cards in every single pack I open will end up in a sleeve at some point to play, which is really cool. I think that that's very unique. When I open a Yu-Gi-Oh pack, I skip to the holo. If it's not good, I pitch it. You know, I think that's a really unique thing that Final Fantasy has in its product design. I guess like technically Magic has a bit of that, but like even Magic, I feel like has less of that because of the way rotation works and because of I mean rotation would force you to play more cards. I I feel like because of the extra color and because of the way that generics work in Final Fantasy, I think it makes for a more interesting format than it would in Magic, where you would just pick 2 colors that don't match, right? If that makes sense. Hopefully, I'm not just like kind of rambling there, but I think it's a uniquely Final Fantasy thing, and I think it's cool that it exists. Do know that a lot of very, very high level players do not like 2 deck format, and I don't blame them because it does say that to get to this point, we've all played one format, and then we have to be good at this other separate version of the game that may or may not be representative of how we got here, which is it's weird. Is it good? Is it bad? It's subjective ultimately, but um, wish me luck anyway in the comments. You know, say good luck, Ghoul. Hope I don't brick. I hope I do well, and I'm looking forward to what should be a very fun weekend of Final Fantasy. So, thanks for watching.